start off this Sunday, isn't it? Spirit of life, we love it. So, let's see, Sunday, we've got happy hour at 5 p.m. today on Zoom. And we're always pleased to have new folks join us, so come on, get brave. Join us. And we hope our guest speaker today, Reverend Denise Cawley, we hope she'll join us as well. Next week, we're delighted to have Dr. Ruth Miller back with us to share her thoughts on living beloved community. And you've noticed in our midweek blast, I hope, information about our renovation and where we need your expertise. So if you like to tear things down or build things up, you are needed. You are wanted. You will be put to work. And we have a board meeting February 10th at 3:30. Are there any other announcements? I know I have a joy I want to share later, but are there any announcements from anybody here? Okay. So with no other announcements, we begin with an introduction of today's guest at our pulpit, Reverend Denise Cawley. She's a Unitarian Universalist minister who serves the UU Community Church of Washington County in Hillsboro, Oregon. Reverend Denise has provided spiritual and emotional care chaplaincy at Planned Parenthood and worked in nonprofit management. She is a graduate of Meadville Lombard Theology School. Denise is a pivotal player in diversity, inclusion, marriage equality, and voting rights for 3 decades. Denise loves walking by big bodies of water. She'd love Florence. We have a lot of big bodies of water. Denise's art is a vivid part of her spiritual practice. She is a renowned fiber artist and enjoys drawing and painting. Again, she'd like it here in Florence. Her creative son, Aiden, and their fluffy dogs live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I know. Ooh, cold there. In her own words, ministry is a way for me to combine my greatest loves of advocacy, social justice, art, reading, and writing into my life's calling to inspire people to love. Denise has provided us with a very full service today. You can easily follow along with the printed order of service in the e-blast. We'll continue with our welcome. She will continue with a welcome and then an opening hymn by Melanie Davis titled Shine on Me.
Hi, I'm Reverend Denise Cawley, and today I want to welcome you to this service. Thank you for having me as a guest. This week we're going to honor how we hold up creativity when we're working in community. How are people with new ideas perceived? What does a new idea look like? And how do we honor wisdom that we have, wisdom from elders, as well as really listen to new ideas, especially if they're from someone different than us. Maybe they're younger. It's good to be together. Welcome to the service.
Hello, UU family. I'm going to sing a song with you called Shine on Me. It's an amazing spiritual that anybody can sing. And in these days when the things that we're dealing with, the feeling separate and all of that, and things seem so hard, this is one of those songs that you just throw your head back, put it in your medicine kit. All you have to do is ask. And here's how it goes. Shine on me, oh shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, oh shine on me, yes shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Lift me up, oh, lift me from the lighthouse. Lift me up, oh, lift me up. Yes, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up. Oh, hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. Yes, hold me close. So hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse, please, hold me close. Oh, shine on me, shine on me. Yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. All you have to do is just ask. The light is always there. Always. Always. Love you.
We're going to continue with lighting our chalice, yours at home, and Rhema will light here our Foof chalice. These words are by Christian Schmidt and Alex Capon. We light this chalice for our children and youth and for us, celebrating the flame of faith lit in each of us, honoring the light each of us brings into the world, rejoicing in the community we create together. Blessed be. I invite Catherine to come forward as we share our joys and concerns. And I have a joy I'd like to share. Do you want me to do it now while I'm standing here?
Yes.
So in front of the chalice flame here, we have 4 white stones that Donna Smith made for us and shipped them to us when she did her white stone ceremony a few weeks ago. One of them on either side says success and prosperity. Another one says peace. On the other side, joy. The third is compassion and love. And the fourth is health and wholeness. So we extend a heartfelt thanks to Reverend Donna Smith for her generosity in sending these to us so they can bless our altar and we can have all of that great energy. So with that, I invite Catherine to come on up and continue with joys and concerns.
Do you want to
I'm dropping a shell.
drop a shell for that?
I'm dropping 4 shells for the 4 stones.
Thank you for that, for those stones.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
I still have one from Reverend Marcia's ceremony, still on my altar at home. It's a lovely ceremony to do, and thank you for that, for sure. This is our joys and concerns, and you know that we do this to remind ourselves how much we love each other and care about each other. We witness each other's joy and each other's suffering sometimes, even if we're not sitting in the room together. The first shell I would like to drop for all those that we don't know about. Big one.
Big one.
Just because I don't hear about you during the week, sometimes people, email me or call me, but I know you're out there, and I say a prayer in my personal altar at home, and my intention that you are all held in the greatest loving kindness that you can feel. And I just want you to know that we all think about each other. So sometimes I forget to say that in the end, so I wanted to start with that this time.
We got everybody covered.
That's right.
Okay.
A joy that I have personally, my friend Denise, who I mentioned had burned herself so badly, 2nd-degree burns on her legs a couple of weeks ago. It is amazing how she's healing. The doctors don't even know how she's healing so fast. I said, I know how she's healing so fast. Yes, so many people around the country have been sending her prayers and love, and her skin is actually responding.
Wow.
So, isn't that wonderful? Kind of like how Jennifer's healing so fast.
Yes.
You know, I believe it.
Yes.
I have, Jean, you know, Jean Hunter. I just heard that all of her computer crashed, and all her contacts were lost. So if you know her and you are friends with her, give her a call so she can add you to a new list of everything she has. It's so frustrating, isn't it, when you lose everything at one time? I know it has been for me. So here's for Jean and recovery.
Here's for her computer.
Yes, yes, yes. And I heard that Natasha, she was in a Zoom group that I was in the other day, and Natasha wasn't feeling so well. She didn't want her picture on because she was probably lying in bed or something, but you know, so really good thoughts, you know, the most loving kindness, wellness thoughts we can send to Natasha.
Big one.
Yes. Anyone else have anything in the room here?
Other than our FOOF computer seems to be dying.
Oh, that's right.
So,
Okay, yes.
good wishes for our laptop computer.
Yes, please, 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 yeah. So I'll end this with a quote from Tagore. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy. Let's serve each other, always. With thought, word, and if we can actually see each other, indeed. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely. I like that. That's just lovely. So again, if you have a joy or a concern, a sorrow, a thought that you would like Catherine to share on your behalf, send it to us by email or call Catherine. Just connect with us, okay? If not, we'll just hold you in our thoughts and prayers regardless. So there you have it. So as I said earlier, Reverend Cawley has provided us with a full service. So we continue with 4 parts. First is her meditation, followed by a story, and then a reflective reading, and then her sermon titled Turtle, Beaver, or Fish?
Today I'd like to share a pastoral meditation with you. It's from Maureen Killerin, and it's called Holy is This Place. Blessed is this ground on which we stand or sit or take up space. Holy is this place. Holy are the places of memory, places which have formed us, where we store the icons of success and shattered dreams, and gather threads and pieces of what we would become. Holy are the places of memory. Holy are the places of the dream, the places over the rainbow, where all the children are wanted and all people are fed, where colors are the source of celebration, and youth and age come to the table as one. Holy are the places of the dream. Holy are the places of change and pain, the places of our struggle, where the rivers of our lives run white and fast, and we hold on and grow. Holy are the places of change and pain. Holy are the places of connection, the places where we risk ourselves, where hands, touch souls, touch minds, and in awareness still, we change our lives. Holy are the places of connection. Holy are the places of becoming, the places of clear vision, where life and world are intertwined, and we can see forever in this moment. And give thanks. Holy are the places of becoming. Blessed is the ground on which we stand. Holy and whole making is this place. Today I'm going to tell you a story that's a Seneca Indian Eastern woodland legend. It's called Turtle Races with Beaver. Now, long ago lived a turtle in a small pond. Maybe you saw some of the pond pictures that I drew. Now, this pond was a fine place. There were alder trees along the bank to give shade, and a fine grassy bank where Turtle could crawl out and sun himself. There were plenty of fish for Turtle to catch. The small pond had everything a turtle could ever want, and Turtle thought his pond was the finest place in the whole world. Turtle spent his time swimming around and sunning himself and catching fish whenever he was hungry. So it went until the cold winds began to blow down from the north. "Ah," Turtle said, "it's time for me to go to sleep." And then he dove down to the bottom of the pond and burrowed into the mud. He went to sleep for winter. He slept so soundly, in fact, that he slept a little later than usual and did not wake up until it was late into the spring. The warming waters of the pond woke him up, and he crawled out of the mud and began to swim toward the surface. Something was wrong, though, for it seemed to take much too long to get to the surface of his small pond. His small pond was more than twice its normal size. His fine grassy bank for sunning himself was under water. His beautiful elder trees had been cut down and made into a big dam. "Who has done this to my pond?" Turtle said. Just then Turtle heard a loud whap. Turtle turned to look, and he saw a strange animal swimming toward him across the surface of the pond. It had a big flat tail, and as it came close to Turtle, it lifted up that big flat tail of the surface of the water, and with it, whap! "Who are you?" said Turtle. "And what are you doing in my pond? What have you done with my beautiful trees?" "Huh?" the strange animal said. "This is not your pond. This is my pond. I am Beaver, and I cut down those trees with my teeth. And I built that dam and made the pond nice and deep. This is my pond, and you must leave." "No," said Turtle, "this is my pond. If you do not leave, I will fight you. I am a great warrior." "Huh," said Beaver. "That is good. Let us fight. I will call all my relatives to help me, and they will chew your head off with their strong teeth." Turtle looked at Beaver's teeth. They were long and yellow, and they looked very sharp. "Ha!" Turtle said. "I can see it would be too easy to fight you. Instead, we should have a contest to decide which of us will leave this pond forever." "Huh," Beaver said. "That was a good idea. Let us see who can stay underwater the longest." "I can stay under for a whole day," said Beaver. As soon as Beaver said that, Turtle saw that he would have to think of a different contest. He was about to suggest that they could see who could stay underwater the longest, but if Beaver said that he could stay under for a day, then he would beat Turtle. "Ha!" Turtle said. "It would be too easy to defeat you that way. Let's have a race instead. The first one to reach the other side of the pond is a winner. The loser must leave my pond forever." "Huh," Beaver said. "That is a good contest. I'm the fastest swimmer of all. When I win, you will have to leave my pond forever. Let us begin to race." Wait, said Turtle. "I am such a fast swimmer that it would not be fair unless I started from behind you." Then Turtle placed himself behind Beaver, right next to Beaver's big tail. "I am ready," Turtle said. "Let's begin." Beaver began to swim, and he was such a fast swimmer that Turtle could barely keep up with him. When they were halfway across the pond, Turtle began to fall even further behind. But Turtle had a plan. He stuck his long neck out and he grabbed Beaver's tail in his jaws. Beaver felt something grab his tail. He was such a fast swimmer that Turtle could barely keep up with him. He could not bother looking back at his tail. He was too busy swimming, trying to win the race. He swung his big tail back and forth, but Turtle held on tight. Now Beaver was almost to the other side of the pond. Turtle bit down even harder, and Beaver swung his tail high up. And just as the tail went into the air, in that swing, Turtle let go. And he flew through the air, and he landed on the bank. Beaver looked up, and there was Turtle. Turtle had won the race. So it was Beaver who had to leave, and Turtle once again had his pond to himself. With its now deeper waters, there were soon even more fish than there had ever been before. And Turtle's elders grew back once more, showing how healthy the pond now was. Turtle's pond now was the finest place in the world. Today's reflective reading comes from my own writings on humanism when I researched the life of Ernestine Rose. It's called Rebel at the Age of 5, the life of Ernestine Rose, mistress of herself. Ernestine Rose was a force aiming to govern herself, her thoughts, her world, in a time when most women were not expected to even think. Ernestine was born in Congress, Poland, as Ernestine Louise Potowska and lived from January 13th, 1810 to August 4th, 1892. So this is a story from quite a while ago. Ernestine understood that all human rights issues are independent. For her, slavery, women's rights, and religious freedom were all intertwined. She could find no science nor reason to justify oppression. One could not expect our world to function well if half the races, half the genders, and all of her humanity were ruled by anything other than logic, she said. As an early humanist, atheist, suffragette, women's rights pioneer, abolitionist, and public health advocate, her life provides lessons for us today. Ernestine began her work when she was very young, while many women's rights advocates began their justice work speaking out against slavery. Ernestine began by questioning religious rule in her own home. She was 5 years old when she asked her father, a rabbi, why his God, would ask him to participate in painful fasts. He told her women, let alone little girls, shouldn't question religion nor authority, and that women and girls had no business thinking for themselves. He told her, a young girl does not want to understand the object of her creed, but to accept and believe it. I was a rebel at the age of 5, she said. Ernestine began to question the justice of a God who would exact such hardships. She even wanted to rule her own destiny. The only religion she considered at all was Universalism, but even that was hard for her to ascribe to until all had human equal rights. Ernestine's mistrust of illogical rules and laws was further confirmed when she was 16 and her mother died, leaving Ernestine an inheritance she could not keep because she was a woman. Her father was a wealthy rabbi, but the family wealth came from Ernestine's mom. Her father arranged for her to marry someone she didn't even know or care for, and after begging him to stop the arrangement, he told Ernestine this is how families keep their wealth. He thought she was silly to want to marry for love and didn't understand the function of marriage in society, nor the imperative to keep her wealth in the family. Ernestine did something very unusual and traveled to a secular court in harsh weather conditions and argued on her own behalf. The court ruled in Ernestine's favor. She did not have to marry the man her father chose. She wanted to travel the world to find true love and be independent. While the court ruled that Ernestine could keep her inheritance, she returned home to discover that her father had remarried a girl her own age. Her home environment proved trying, so she let her father keep most of the money and she moved to Berlin. In Germany, she discovered there were anti-Semitic laws requiring all Jews to have sponsors. Seeing this as untenable, Ernestine appealed to the king, who was so taken with her tenacity and logical arguments that he let her stay in Germany without a sponsor. To support herself, she invented and sold perfumed shelf lining papers, a special scented paper to mask the foul odors in the home. This business she started funded her travels. In her early 20s, Ernestine was exposed to Owenism, and she was so taken with its ideas and the founder that she started lecturing on radical ideas like free education for all and women's rights to own property, have bank accounts, and choose who to marry. She saw that all races were equal, stating, "Emancipation from every kind of bondage is my principle. I go for recognition of human rights without distinction of sect, party, sex, or color." She encouraged others to speak out for human rights. Rose said, "Silence is consent, and silence where life and liberty is at stake, where by a timely protest we could stay at the destroyer's hand and do not do so, is criminal, and as criminal is actually giving aid to the oppressor, for it answers his purpose." We are doing great. We won't stop singing, we won't stop voting, helping others to have their votes counted, calling people, seeing how they're doing, helping strangers and loved ones. We won't stop listening and writing cards and caring, and we won't stop bringing one another meals and preparing to help those who are oppressed, trying to bring human rights to others, stopping and listening when someone is experiencing hurt. Those are all great things that we do together as churches, as Unitarian Universalists. You probably do more than you realize, and I know you will not stop doing those things. And thank goodness you will not stop. And we're finding ourselves in a time where change might be helpful. Change might help us do more great in the world, do more helpful things in the world, and share our good messages of the 7 principles or the 8 principles, all of the messages of our covenant not being sealed. We could share those things with more people, but to do that, we might have to do something different. We might have to change the pond. We find ourselves in a time of needing to act out our faith. Some of you might worry, even if I use the word faith, thinking it must mean one particular kind of religion. but the etymology says that faith is a strong belief, a trust, and a confidence. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith comes in action. That is how we build community, how we build and develop our beliefs in one another, how we strengthen our faith muscle to learn more about other faith ideas, about other forms of truth. That's how we continue to work with conviction, which is another part of faith. Exercising our convictions means that we do this work together. We cannot do it alone. One of my heroes, a hero who was reading all about Ernestine Rose, who you heard about in that reading, in the late 1800s was Reverend Dr. Florence Buck. Now, I feel like Reverend Buck was one of my best friends, even though I never met her. Maybe you'll hear me preach about her someday in the future, but for now you should know that she was one of the first women preachers in our faith, and certainly one of the most accomplished. She once stated, "One's goodness should be shown not alone by the way he treats his family, his neighbors, his personal friends and associates, but also by the way he treats those more remote, the worker, the poor, the foreigner, and yes, even the criminal and the outcast." Florence Buck was guiding us through our first and second principle when she talked about the worth of every person, about justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Now I look at how Turtle treated Beaver. Turtle had every intention to make Beaver the outcast. I bet if we had asked Beaver, "Would you like a healthier pond?" Beaver would have said yes, that's why he made one. But if we would have asked Turtle, "Would you like a healthier pond? One with even more fish, and maybe we could make it deeper and more diverse. Would you like that?" I'm willing to bet that Turtle would have gone to a visioning and strategic planning meeting and said, "Give me the better, deeper, more diverse pond." If he would have been in one of those sessions where we vote with our little colored stickers, he'd be putting his sticker up there. Now, when I first heard that story about Turtle and Beaver, I gotta tell you, I was rooting for Turtle. I was happy when Turtle won. And then I got to thinking. I contemplate about how, as Unitarian Universalists, we often get really excited about an idea, or sometimes about one principle or another. It's easy to get excited about searching for truth and meaning without applying it. Or sometimes I get caught up in my own studies for a sermon topic that way. Then as soon as Beaver shows up and he's rearranging the pond, Turtle says, "Hey, look, I need Beaver out of here. I'll outsmart him. I will beat him and make him leave." Have you ever seen that happen at a workplace or in your family with someone new who's dating someone, or maybe even in your churches? We start to root for Turtle, right? I mean, yeah. Get out of there, Beaver. You ruined the pond. And I wonder, was Turtle acting out of the fifth principle of democratic process, forgetting that the goal of the sixth principle is peace, liberty, and justice? Turtle has this pond. The pond isn't perfect. He likes it. It's all good. In fact, if he ever was in previous conversations about dreaming of a bigger and better congregation, pond, he has probably forgotten about those because Beaver just changed things around. Now, I bet Beaver's saying that, hey, wait a minute, didn't Turtle say he wanted a deeper and healthier pond? Didn't they invite me by that outreach effort that they did? Did Turtle forget that he was a Unitarian Universalist, Turtle? There aren't that many UUs, and there must be even less Turtle UUs, right? So I'm thinking that when Turtle wants Beaver to leave, Turtle is forgetting all about the interdependent web in the seventh principle, right? When Turtle discovered Beaver in his pond, And Beaver had made all these changes to the pond while Turtle was sleeping and frankly wasn't participating, right? Turtle comes out and is like, hey, I'm mad. Maybe Turtle was at his summer place, we could say. We know he was at his winter place, but was Beaver a young person who was maybe out protesting and wanting black and brown and indigenous lives to matter? Was Beaver like the Ernestine Rose of the pond asking to see the king because the laws of the pond were illogical? Were Beaver and Ernestine Rose like the early humanists following a scientific process wanting to bring meaning for the sake of decency? We know that our early humanists were reading about Ernestine Rose before they wrote the first manifesto. We didn't call them principles back then, but both Florence Buck and Ernestine were writing about the first principle in their works. The inherent worth and dignity of all people was very popular amongst Unitarians and Universalists. We had much the same language in our writings. We had that in common. In Ernestine's life, she was viewed as disruptive. She was outlandish. Maybe she was labeled foolish by some who wanted change, but thought that she wanted too much, too soon. Had pandemic come to the pond, would Turtle and Beaver find that they really needed one another? Would the community need to do an organizational assessment or a SWOT analysis? Would they find that if they did a talent inventory, that Turtle was super helpful at burying eggs and Beaver was skilled at building structures? After Beaver is gone, Turtle is all happy that Beaver has left. He beat him. He outsmarted the Beaver. Turtle didn't think he needed the Beaver, right? Like all controversial stories, I find myself wondering what other outcomes there could have been if Turtle would have liked resting and sunning himself on the dam that Beaver built. Maybe Beaver was trying to reveal the soul of the pond. Perhaps Beaver was building a whole new way to look at what the pond community could be. Now, author and activist Parker Palmer described both the shyness and the tenacity of the soul in his work, A Hidden Wholeness. He said the soul is like a wild animal, tough, resilient, resourceful, savvy, self-sufficient. The soul knows how to survive in hard places. Yet despite its toughness, the soul is also shy, just like a wild animal. It seeks safety in the dense underbrush, especially when other people are around. If we want to see a wild animal, we know the last thing we should do is go crashing through the woods yelling for it to come out. But if we are willing to walk quietly in the woods and sit patiently at the base of a tree, breathe with the earth, and fade into the surroundings, the wild creature we seek might put about an appearance. We might see it only briefly and only out of the corner of our eye, but the sight is a gift we will always treasure. Susan Beaumont, who writes How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going, a book I've been studying a lot, she talks about that too, the soul of an organization. The funny thing is that Turtle looks around and the pond is now deeper. It has more fish and the variety of fish are more delicious. The pond has more oxygen. And Turtle realizes that the beaver that he kicked out had made the pond far more fabulous. Someday we might be the turtle looking around saying, oh, now I see how the pond is healthier. The neighborhood looks better. The church feels more cozy. Have you ever decided to do a remodeling project and then the construction starts and you think, why did I ever do this? My home is all upset. There is dirt everywhere. You hate it. I hate it. But you can't quit. I mean, most of us just can't move down the street to another place and wait for the construction to be done. We have to stay there. We have to clean it. It's a mess. We wait. We try to manage all the change, and then one day it's done. We look around and say, wow, this does look great. Or, how did I ever live without that bathroom? Now, author Susan Beaumont, who wrote the book on liminal space that I sometimes quote, talks about finding that soul of an organization, the soul of a church. She talks about having divine sparks to behave like divine glory, that's the soul. We cannot witness it or engage it directly. We can only watch from the cleft should the soul pass by. Now, if we are in a liminal time because of all the chaos around the elections and COVID-19 and leadership changes, how do we figure out where we're going? And how do we get there? Well, we have these wonderful 7 principles to help us build our pond. Not only that, we have these great checklists and guides about what we should do in churches during times of change. We know we should work on mission and vision and covenant, get real clear about who are we and what does church mean? What am I looking for in my own life? What shape do we want for our pond? Do we want a lot of different fish, or should we be happy, pre-Beaver, how the pond was? Susan Beaumont talks about that in times of liminal change, changing times, there are 4 areas of congregational health to think about, and those apply to our own lives too. The first is deepening discernment. If you discern about your faith and you discern about your church, you will end up in a better place. Shaping institutional memory. Personally revisit your memories. In community, revisit your history. This means looking hard at the whole history, not the stories that are easier to tell, not just the pretty parts. Clarifying the purpose. Doing vision work is the third. And 4th is engaging emergence. Have you heard about emergent strategies and chaos during times of change, and that resulting in murmuration, like how packs of birds fly together? There is a chance to bring that today and sail through the sky. Now, once the construction is done on any given project, I never hear anyone say, wow, I wish I could get rid of that extra bathroom. Or why did we put in this deck? No one does that. We all get used to the new features. In Japan, you can go on retreats to Buddhist shrines and you can sweep or rake all day long. That's spiritual practice, doing these repetitive exercises. And you don't have to go all the way to Japan to do that. How many times have you seen a group, whether it's here at your church or with a family member or another group, and you start to work on a project together, and that becomes story. You look at what you can get across, right? What can you accomplish? Maybe for someone it could be about writing postcards like a lot of you have done to encourage people to vote. Maybe it's that repetitive act of chopping vegetables to make soup. This is how we tend our soul and how we tend the soul of an institution. As a community, we need to do our deepening, our group discernment, and our, what I like to call, pathetic spiritual practices. Not fighting one another for the pond, but instead figuring out how we all work on the pond together, highlighting our different talents, and personally taking care of deepening our spirit by discerning different passages that you may want to read together and as a group, or as a family. When you read something together, you reflect, you pause, you ask ourselves, how does this apply to us? Just like in a construction project, we might get a few weeks or months in and wonder if it'll ever be done. I wonder if Ernestine Rose thought she would ever see the end of slavery, or if she would ever be able to open a bank account in her own name. Was Ernestine just shining a light on issues she wanted her elders to pay attention to? Are we trying to outsmart the beavers and get them to leave? Or do we want the schools of fish swimming in our ponds? Construction sucks. COVID is a huge bummer. There are all kinds of ways that times of change are no fun, and yet change is the only constant. Even with road construction, the new road sounds like such a great idea. It'll be faster to get to school or work, or to go visit a family member, but before it gets built, you get routed all over the place. It takes forever. But you don't get to say, well, I'm not going to work anymore. Not coming to school till the new road is done. We don't call in for construction. Sorry, can't be there. Construction. I'll be back in a year. You know who was reading Ernestine Rose's columns and attending her speeches? Unitarian and Universalist leaders. They were attending the suffrage rallies. They were talking about the right to vote. They were attending the temperance conventions and asking why Indigenous, Mexican, and Black people in this country were not treated like a whole person. I wonder, what would Unitarian Universalism look like without Ernestine Rose? You know who else was reading those articles about Ernestine? My friend, Reverend Dr. Florence Buck, who was quoted earlier in this sermon. I know for a fact that when Reverend Dr. Florence Buck asked too many questions, she was penalized by the AUA, the predecessor to the UUA. They were tired of her work to bring equity and to the races and to all the sexes. They wanted her to stop talking about suffrage. She had to get quiet to survive her ministry. But like so many Unitarians, she would not stop. You are all not so different from our abolitionist and suffragette ancestors, or the Unitarian ministers who traveled to Europe to bring relief to hundreds of endangered Jews and refugees, or our UU ministers who went to Selma in 1965. Our spiritual ancestors have been stepping out boldly, using creativity to deliver love in the most needed places. Often these efforts have been led by youth and younger adults. Our fellow congregants are also bringing creativity and justice to corners of our communities that need it. I am surely grateful to all of them. I'm grateful to the turtles and the beavers. You are all offering us bold and creative methods of making a more just and caring community. Join us in celebrating all of those beavers and the turtles and the fish. Go there. Vision the bold ideas. Be the one that says something outlandish, and even better, be the second one to support the outlandish idea. I am sure that Ernestine Rose seemed bananas 200 years ago. I am sure that the beaver seemed pretty bananas too. But now it seems ridiculous to not embrace those ideas. Maybe instead of criticizing the beaver in your life, ask some questions. Why are you moving that pond around? Are there benefits to doing that to the pond? How did you make that decision? Just like I reminded you in the beginning, we can be good at caring for our communities. We can illustrate that Remember that in liminal times, you can be curious. You can ask questions about what Beaver is doing. Beaver, you can be gentle with the turtles. Think about our heroes who have gone out and accomplished so much during times that their ideas seemed outlandish. Hold on to your spiritual practices, the ones you do individually and as a group. Don't make big decisions in liminal times. Watch, pause, stay curious, observe when nothing else is clear. Clear is kind, my friends. Until you are clear, go in wonder. Go in celebration of the trailblazers. Be open to being led when you don't know where you are going.
Thank you, Reverend Cawley. Great service. Lots of parts, all flowing together. We really appreciate your message. And we hope you'll join us today at 5 o'clock for our Zoom happy hour. We move into our offertory. And I want to share with you something that Tuvia shared with me recently. Our community partner for November and December was Habitat for Humanity. And we raised over $1,300 in those 2 months for that organization. Tuvia delivered a big check to Janelle Morgan, and she is the executive director at Habitat. And she shared with Tuvia that there aren't too many faith-based organizations knocking on her door with a check for $1,300. So I want to congratulate you who are listening today for your continued contributions and dedication to our community partners, such as Habitat for Humanity. This month and last month, January and February, we are contributing to Sayusla Outreach Services. I had the chance to go over there the other day to pick something up, and I want you to know they're practicing all the protocols. You gotta ring the door, you gotta wash your hands, you just can't walk around, you have to be invited in. So they are open for business, which is a really good thing for people who need their services. And they are able to remain open due to the generosity of FOOF and people who are listening today. So I ask that you continue your contributions to Sayusla Outreach Services. You can make a check payable to them and mail it to them if you'd like. You can send it to us at our P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439, or you can do it through PayPal on our website. Hit the donate button and just let us know how much you'd like to come to FOOF and how much you'd like to go to SOS, and we'll take care of it, okay? As well, we appreciate contributions to this church, whether you want to just make your pledge payment, or as some people have done already, they're starting to make donations to our renovation fund. Isn't that wonderful? I'm pleased to say we've already collected over $2,500 from people like you who are donating to this renovation fund. So thank you. Let us know how you want your contribution to be expended, and we will take care of it, I promise. So I ask that we share our little prayer in advance. And it goes like this, and I will invite you to repeat after me. Divine love through me,
Divine love through me,
blesses and multiplies all that I am,
blesses and multiplies all that I am,
and all that I give,
and all that I give,
and all that I receive.
and all that I receive.
I am prosperous now, blessed be.
I am prosperous now, blessed be.
Oh, thank you. So we'll close out our service today with a beautiful hymn titled Circle Round for Freedom. And then we'll come back and we'll extinguish the flame and sing our peace song.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for its soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us imprisoned. Circle for release. Circle for the planet. Circle for each soul. For the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us imprisoned. Circle for release. Circle for the planet. Circle for each soul. For the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
Beautiful song, beautiful song. Ray was telling me that's a song that you used to sing at what fellowship? The UU Fellowship of where?
In South Texas.
In South Texas.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful, beautiful voice. We're going to extinguish our chalice today, and we invite you to extinguish the flame of yours at home. These words come from Maureen Killoran. No matter how weak or frightened we may feel, we each have gifts that can make a difference in the world. In this coming week, may you do at least one thing to support the broken, to welcome a stranger, to celebrate what is worthy, to do the work of justice and love. Be strong, be connected. Each day, act, so you may be a little more whole. I invite two of you behind the screen here. We're going to close out with our peace song and wish you well, and we will see you at 5 o'clock on Zoom. Two of you, come on around. The peace song.
Before we sing the peace song, I just want to thank Ann Lathrop for the inspiration she gives me, you, and all of us when we sing this song. Yes. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with love as our center. Amen.